Well, let's go to the Hallelujah. This is,
Okay.
I like the name of it. It's party time, it's fellowship, it's fun, and life building too, to come together with other believers.
Yeah.
Now, what are you going to do with that bale of hay, Dr. Bill?
Well, we're going to make this into what you would call the Jericho Wall, and it'll be a gospel Olympics for the children to run, and then they climb over the Jericho Wall, and they will run through the Red Sea, and then we have a thing called the egg toss, in which you take my yoke upon you by throwing this raw egg back and forth. So anyway, the children really get into it, and it's a great time of fellowship for the kids and to introduce some biblical points to them at the same time.
Did you come up with all this creative stuff?
No, I think God came up with the creative stuff.
I know, it's through you though. I mean, you are a very creative surgeon, I have to say. I think we have some more pictures of the Hallelujah. What's the food? What would you serve?
This is Russian food called shashlik. And basically, they barbecue a little bit different than we do and put it on a stick. It was the best I have ever eaten.
Really?
And here's some of the people during the Hallelujah. That we have a gospel singing that takes place all day. The local churches then come and they sing, and people sit around on the grass and listen. Probably you could think of it like a Christian Woodstock, if I could think of that.
Right.
You know?
We'll put it on the map. Oh, look at the flowers.
Yeah, I sent these young ladies out during the Hallelujah on the farm. I said, girls, we got a lot of wild flowers growing on the farm. Go and pick some bouquets and I'll take your picture. So that was the picture that we took for them.
You have diversified.
Yes, we have.
And we're not done. The Agape Guest House, how does that work?
As you know, Russia is a little bit bigger than Canada. And so in Moscow, there are opportunities for many of these children in the remote areas to receive this high special treatment like cancer, chemotherapy, and things. But in order to get into the program, they have to qualify. And in order to qualify, they need to come and go through tests and interviews and things. So when they come to Moscow, they have no place to live. So our idea is to take these children from the Arctic North and from Siberia, let them live in the Agape Guest House. I guess probably you could think of it like a Ronald McDonald's house. It's very, very similar. And so we'll be able to build spiritual values into them while they're being accepted into these programs.
And both the people and the government are open to this spiritual nurture that's being provided?
Yes. And we have, because of our medical programs, we have several contacts in the major universities in Moscow. Very good friends at the very top level. And we're now doing medical education programs and helping them with their family practice curriculum, and also to write articles in their family practice medical journal about the spiritual needs of a person. Can you believe that?
There seems to be, and we have been hearing about their interest and emphasis in a moral base in their education.
And I'm thankful to God we've had some small input into that.
This is, you haven't,
You just go through the door that God opens, Maury. That's all you need to do. Just show up for the job. He has plenty of work for all of us.
Now, you didn't speak any Russian when you arrived there, which had to be a challenge. And what they speak in Moscow isn't what the Nenet, this is a little Nenet person here. How much language have you learned in these years?
I've learned enough to go to the bank and the post office, and you could drop me anywhere in Russia and I could...
You'd be okay?
I'd be okay, yeah. But to say that I speak fluent Russian is not correct.
Do you have to work with a translator when you're working with a patient?
I do. I choose to do that. I probably don't. They usually sit here and don't say anything. But sometimes you need to know exactly when they started bleeding or when to paint some things. And so I do use a translator.
You might
for
need
that.
a few more words than
That's right.
at your arsenal.
To be sure, you know.
We have, you mentioned the Home for Unwed Mothers, some more really shocking statistics. Tell us why this home.
Of course, everyone knows that China has the largest abortion numbers, the numbers of ladies. But very few people know that Russia has, a few years ago, it had the highest rate of abortions. Now what this means is that the number of abortions per lady was the highest in the world. And I personally knew one lady who had 29 abortions.
Not.
Yes. And so the girls come into our clinic in Moscow, and we do the ultrasound and counsel with them. And some of the girls will make a decision to keep their child, but they have no place to do that. You know, they're outcasts from their families a lot of times and so forth. So this is a place for them to do that.
The statute I think we're referring to, 2009, there were 74 abortions for every 100 births, and nearly 1.3 million abortions that year.
Yes. And we have a dying country. It doesn't make any sense. The death rate is bigger than the birth rate. And why would you want to do abortions? But we do.
And so much more. I mean, we're talking food, clothing, medicine, obviously. The compassion of Christ on so many levels.
I love what St. Francis said. He said, preach the gospel always. And if you need to, use words.
I like your handle. Live with an empty barn.
Oh, my goodness.
In our last 30 seconds, talk to us about living with an empty barn, Dr. Bill.
Well, as you said in the introduction, I gave up everything I had in America, financially speaking, to serve God in Russia. And recently I was reading this story that Jesus told about the rich man with the barn. And I suddenly realized that he wanted us to live our lives with our barns empty and not full. Because when they're full, they benefit no one. They just sit there, or maybe selfishly we do this. But when our barns are empty, they benefit many, many people. So I want to live with an empty barn.
Oh, I just love this man. It's just like a visit from Santa, really, when he comes, just seeing the wonderful ways God is making you a gift and your ministry. Agape, you can find out more at www.agape.org. Capital R-U, that would be Russia, .org. AgapeRu.org. And you keep well. What do you do if you need a doctor?
That is a good question.
God just keeps you healthy.
I usually look in the mirror and try to figure it out.
It's been a delight. Thank you so much for coming and visiting on your, I'm sure, short trip back. You don't stay away long, do you?
No, I don't. I probably am more Russian than I am American now. Just don't speak the language as well.
But he hasn't lost the drawl.
Yeah, this is true.
I love it. Bless you. Stay with us. We'll be back.